to help wrap up our week-long coverage of the state GOP convention, we've invited 3 Republicans to join us tonight, and they know this party inside and out. Together, they have devised strategy for dozens of Republican campaigns, and they spent the week here in Manhattan lending their skills to the likes of David Malpass, Rick Lazio, and Carl Palladino. Dave Catalfamo is a former press secretary to former Governor George Pataki. Brendan Quinn is a former executive director of the state Republican Party. And Roger Stone is a longtime GOP consultant. Gentlemen, thank you very much. So let's start with just a brief overall view of what you guys are doing to get it out of the way in terms of conflict of interest, so everyone knows where everyone else is coming from. Roger.
I'm supporting Kristen Davis, formerly known as the Manhattan Madam, who I think will be a free libertarian and independent party candidate on the ballot this November, advocating a freedom-based agenda like gay marriage and legalization of marijuana. I also have close personal relationships with with Michael Caputo, who is the manager of the Palladino campaign. So I favor Palladino within the Republican context.
Okay, good, Dave.
Capital Public Strategies helped out David Malpass with respect to getting on the ballot for September, and we also have one of our partners works with the Lazio campaign, so we have close relationships there, and I definitely am in the Lazio camp.
In the Lazio camp. And Brendan?
I came in and helped the Lazio people this week, but I have Matt Doheny who's running for Congress up north, Jack Quinn is running for Senate out in Buffalo,
oh, right, that's right.
and Scott Vanderhoff is running for Senate in Rockland.
So let the record show it's 2-1.
All right, 2-1.
It's 2-1. Bring on the gladiator.
Let's get started. Your overall view of the Republican, as it stands right now, of the Republican matchup. We know you're a Palladino supporter, but what do you think? What did you think of the way it shook out and Steve Levy's failure to get onto the ballot?
Well, first of all, I was surprised that Steve Levy was as close as he was on the authorization vote. He was about where I thought he was, and therefore blowing a lot of smoke about his position on the previous ballot, the designation ballot, but he still got his 25%. Had he been able to break into Western New York, break into Erie, which his agents like Michael Hook and others tried valiantly to do, I think he might have gotten his 51%. He came much closer than I thought, but at the same time, he's done in this race and not a factor yet. In my view, the race remains open. This will be decided, in my opinion, in a Republican primary and conceivably, a conservative primary. And there's now talk of multiple third parties, including a Tea Party-oriented line.
Right.
My take on it was that Rick Lazio clearly showed that he's a much different campaigner than he was back in 2000. I think a lot of people, back in 2000 candidly questioned his toughness. And you know what? That was a tough campaign.
Well, right,
to win this nomination, he basically bucked the party establishment and many regional vice chairmen and Ed Cox. And candidly, look, Steve Levy has got a base of support that's important. He has a fiscal record that's important, and most importantly, he has resources that's important. And Rick Lazio basically beat back all that, and I think showed a toughness that people were looking for from him, and I think it sets him up.
So you know what? You actually sound like you're giving credence to Ed Cox's suggestion that he came out battle-hardened in this primary. I mean, that's what he said. Do you agree with that?
He came out battle-hardened, but they were doing other tasks before that contest, and they were working on different things, working on trying to raise money and put together an organization.
I really think that the problem is much different. I would agree that I think Rick's campaign style and his attacks on Cuomo become sharper, and he's become a better campaigner. It's about who he is, though. Right. He is the lobbyist for a bailed-out bank.
He was the lobbyist.
He took $1.2 million in a bonus in a bank that got $25 billion of federal TARP money.
He took $1.2 million in a bonus for a bank that was required to take it that didn't even want it.
But in this year, that is not the profile you want in this year in which people are looking for outsiders.
To play devil's advocate, one could argue also, neither is it a good profile to be part of the Albany Democratic establishment, which is why Andrew Cuomo is trying so desperately hard to
There's no question.
Separate himself
they
from
have
that.
The same problem and thus the same vulnerability. How can Rick take Andrew to task on subprime mortgage, a meltdown in this country, which is a Cuomo baby, when he, as a member of the House committee with the relevant oversight, was a cheerleader for the program?
Okay,
he's a good guy. And I think he's a man of his word, and I think he's a man of integrity, and he has improved as a candidate. He's just the wrong guy to take on Andrew Cuomo.
Okay, you agree, disagree?
Well, let's go back to Steve Levy for a minute before
Okay.
he keeps going. Steve
Before
Levy.
Roger takes over the table.
Let them savor for a while.
Well, they did
it's fair.
win. I mean,
no,
you
they
know,
did.
okay.
Well, they did. But again, I would point out that a swing of 10 votes in Western New York and Steve Levy being the
But it
primary
didn't.
today.
But
So
it did not happen.
Collective
Right.
effort. I think it was a collective effort to have Republicans. If we're going to have a primary, let it be among Republicans. Carl Palladino's a Republican. Rick Lazio, certainly a good Republican. Let's have a primary, but let it be among Republicans.
Brendan.
Steve Levy and Ed Cox and that whole crew were promising they had 50%. Not talking about the second vote, let's talk about the first vote.
Okay.
They promised for weeks. Ed Cox put a letter out last week. They had it urging everyone. They were never close to that 50%. And they kept, for the last 2 weeks, I'm at 45, I'm at 45. He was in the mid-20s the whole time, and the real question became, was he going to break 25 at first?
Right.
And then there were people that felt, okay, I made my commitment, whether it was to Myers-Mermel or one of the other candidates, and I'm going to then give the opportunity because I have loyalty out of the party, the chairman or whoever it was, a regional chairman, and they then gave that vote to the Wilson Pakula's second vote.
Right.
And that's why Levy moved up.
Okay, but what does this mean for Ed Cox? I mean, how much longer is Ed Cox going to be able to hold on to the chairmanship? The only reason, as far as I could tell, that there was not a no confidence vote is because it would have, A, perhaps there was no one to take over for him, and B, there's no real mechanism to get rid of him midstream right now. So how long does he manage to hang on?
You have to ask Ed how long he wants to stay. It's really a function up to him. This week was about Rick Lazio beating back the fight from Steve Levy.
Well, that's your
beating
message.
back-
Yes, I get it.
But that's what happened. That's what happened.
But Brendan is right in from the point of view that really, there's not really a mechanism to take out Ed Cox. Everybody talks about, we're going to have a no confidence vote, whatever. Ed Cox will be the chairman until he doesn't want to be the chairman anymore, until his term has expired.
The guy he was pushing.
I think it's counterproductive for the party at this point. He's, in essence, I'm afraid he's neutered here. Okay, he is going to be saddled with the nominee most likely decided in a primary. He's already made one giant mistake. A party doesn't need to immolate itself over this. He's beaten. He's a good Republican. He's going to support whoever wins that primary nomination. I just don't think going after him now is productive for either Rick Lazio or Carl Palladino.
Because we have plenty of people to go after.
Oh, we should
Yes,
be
you
focusing
do.
on Democrats.
And actually,
Talk
well,
about
you should
Andrew.
be focusing on Democrats. And actually, as it turns out, you have two different primaries. You have a primary in both U.S. Senate races. So how's that helpful for anyone? It doesn't put together a united front. You managed to finally get down to the ticket. You agreed on the top of the ticket, but you can't agree on these other two races. Arguably, one of the most vulnerable people, Kirsten Gillibrand, wasn't even elected to the office.
She was appointed by that great governor, David Patterson. What a beautiful thing.
Right.
And then if you look at this going forward, you're going to have the better candidate come out of that primary. Someone's going to be able to help raise money. They're going to be able to go raise money against her across the country. That candidate, whether it's Blakeman or Malpass, someone's going to be able to go into that. But everyone's focused on the primaries, and there are a lot of people in the party don't like primaries. The people have spoken, the party has spoken, that's where we are. Going back to Roger's point about not beating up on each other, let's go forward. We're going to go out there.
Okay, but the nature of the beast in a primary is for one person to defeat the other. I mean, isn't it going to be at some points a little bit? It's going to be contentious. I mean,
Sure
already you're seeing Bruce Blakeman come out and talk about Dave Malpass says, I don't even know if I should direct this to you, Dave, but Dave Malpass says being in an ivory tower as working for Bear Stearns. I mean, the same problem that Roger brings up for Rick Lazio.
I think the primaries are problematic from a different point of view, and that is they're going to drain some candidates who need to save their money, their powder to fight Democrats. I mean, Rick Lazio today doesn't have the resources to take on Andrew Cuomo. And therefore diverting money for a Conservative Party primary and a Republican